Why do 90% of webinars fail? How did we take a client from doing 0% conversion rate to 36% close rates on a webinar? Those are better than most sales reps can get on one-to-one sales calls. How do we do it? What psychological triggers do we use to do it? And what are some tips that you can take into your webinar after doing $1 million a month inside of my business that you can take and implement starting today onto your webinar? And what we did for India. She got a 36% close rate with a 21x return on ad spend. And here's how we did it. So first off, you understand why 90% of webinars fail, right? So I have some notes here that I wanted to make with you guys and take you through this. So first things first is business owners get into it and they're like, okay, I'm going to sell one to many. I'm going to close almost half the room. Unrealistic expectations. That is very difficult to do. Okay. For you to close half of a webinar room, I've never even seen some of the biggest names do that. Like Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, they haven't even done that. Okay. Now I'm looking here at India's stats. She spent $327 in ad spend, made $7K and got a 21x return. Like that's insane to get on a webinar. And that's better than the ad spend and ROASs that we're seeing on book call files, right? She knew that going into this, she wasn't going to close half the room or everyone's here to buy. Those are unrealistic expectations, okay? Second is the wrong audience. The wrong audience that you're targeting that isn't giving you the stats you're looking for. You're going massively broad instead of going a little bit niche. There's this one analogy that my mentor always taught me, and it's about birds and bird feeders. If I'm looking at a business, I don't want my business to be the hand that a bird falls on, right? Because for a bird to land on your hand, even though it's a beautiful moment, it's so rare, right? And that's like, for example, if I was a financial manager and I only worked with, senior management that, basically was looking to retire. That's such a small niche to where a bird is basically going to have to fly on my hand. I don't have to get a layup from that. Okay. Because so many people in that many niche who were in X job position only retire every single year. So the whole thing that he brought up to me was like, dude, you want it to be like your business as a bird feeder. You put the seed there and multiple birds can come to this bird feeder and eat throughout the day. This seed accommodated more than one breed of bird, but they're all high quality because it's a high quality seed. And that blew my mind. It was like, I didn't even think about it that way. And bird feeders don't require any work. It's automated. You put the food in there, it gets fed, right? And you set the bird feeder up in the right location, in the right spot, in the right demo where you knew that these birds were going to show up. And I always love that analogy because I was always under the connotation that I should only run webinars for course sellers. Then we did coaches, consultants, online service pros, and course and info sellers. We did more than just that one niche and the offer exploded. It was a lot easier to get people through the door because we weren't just relying on course seller. We put the bird feeder up and we were like, all right, coaches, consultants, online service pros, course and info sellers. What we didn't say was everybody. And that's like a park to birds, right? If you have a whole park, all the freaking birds in the entire town can come and show up, which cause havoc. They're shitting everywhere. They don't eat from the same spot. It's unorganized, right? And then there's dogs showing up to the park. Like there's so many different things. And that's where I looked at like niches is how can I be the bird feeder? Okay. Second is the wrong solution. What does your avatar really want? I had a client who is targeting holistic healers. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to help them add this service as an add-on to the business to make more money. I'm like, no, they don't want to do that because that requires more work and they feel like they're changing their business model. Just help the current business owner hit a certain revenue goal with the challenge they're currently facing. Instead of adding on the service to their business, help them get their current business to where they need to be to even constitute adding on something else because odds are their systems are messed up. Their offers are bad. They don't have a lot of, processes in the business. They have bad hiring. They don't have A players. They got all these problems in the business that they need to solve. And you're just looking to add on something. Sometimes, and not sometimes, but most of the time when we add something on, it doesn't mean that we're going to make more money. It just means that we're adding more. It's kind of like pancakes. Like I'm okay having 2 pancakes. But if someone's like, yeah, get chocolate chip. Yeah, get syrup. Yeah, get cream. Now I got all this shit on my plate. When in the first place, I enjoyed 2 pancakes. I didn't need all the chocolate chips and the freaking cream and all these things and the butter and all this. Now I have an upset stomach. I overloaded my plate, or I bit off more than I can chew. You've all heard that saying. So, the solution that people want is they want to lose weight, make more money, get more calls. They want to increase their profit margin. Like, it always comes down to money in the financial sense, or it's like repairing their marriage, getting their kids into top colleges, like things that people care about. Like, if I'm a basketball player, what do I want to achieve? I want to play D1. I don't want a better jump shot, dude. Tell me that you can make me go D1, and then I'll listen to you about the jump shot, right? Okay, next part is wrong offer for the wrong audience. If your avatar learns a certain way, right, that means that you need to sell them a product that dictates how they learn, how they behave. If I'm selling roofers a product that requires them to show up to calls and all this other shit, it's not going to work because roofers are on the damn roof. Roofers don't have time to be on coaching calls and go to some boot camp or whatever. They just want the shit done for that, which then leads me to the energy in the webinar. Okay. It's kind of like a live event, but virtual. Okay. So the energy in the webinar will dictate how people perceive you, your brand, your messaging, and the excitement, right? If you're not excited to buy something, you're not going to buy it. If you hop in a car and you're at the dealership and you don't like the car, you're not going to buy. But if the guy takes you on a, test drive, you put the top down, he grabs you a Starbucks coffee, now you're excited. You got more energy to buy, right? So the energy is dictated by you getting people to comment in the Zoom chat, by you labeling people with identities, which I'll get into in a part of this. I took a lot of great notes for you guys, by the way. So this is all the things that I've learned over the past, 2-3 years running webinars and scaling to $1 million a month. So this is going to be great for you. When I do webinars, I talk in very high tonality. I'm very excited. I'm trying to give people the opportunity. I'm very motivating, right? That's the energy. But if you just read off slides, like, that brings me to the next part here, which is you thinking that slides do it all for you, right? So if you think the slides are going to sell the whole thing for you, you're going to always lose. Like, you're going to always have an issue. You can't just sit there and be monotone and be like, all right, guys, welcome. Before we get started, this is what we're going to talk about. No. Instead, you got to say, hey, guys, welcome to this training. It's Thursday night, 7 p.m. I'm very excited. I cannot thank you guys enough for taking your time out to spend time with me tonight, because I know you could be doing something else. So with that being said, I'm going to be very precious of your time. And these are all the things that I've revealed, after doing X, Y, and Z. You see how I'm doing more hand movements, more energy. I start calling out people on the Zoom. I start seeing all their cameras. Hey, Jonah, love the background. Love the family pictures. Derek, love it, dude. Nice background, good smile. Love it, man. Like, you're calling out people, labeling them with identities and being personable. That is building energy in the room. But sitting back and just reading off slides doesn't make all the money you think it's going to make, right? It's very hard now to be faceless and make boku money, as they say. It's a term in the world now, boku. I don't know what the hell's wrong with kids, but yeah. Okay. Next piece is no payment plans. If you don't give people the feasibility to pay things over time, you're going to have a lot of friction. Trust is down. Buying power is down. You got to understand that people don't have all this money to pay for things up front. Just like the same thing is people don't have 30 grand to drop in cash on a car. People don't always have 5 grand to drop in cash on a vacation. Like, that's why they have a firm, Klarna, funding. We use coach financing, like all these things that we use to give people better flexibility, or split payments, weekly payments, 14 days, 30 days, whatever it looks like. Get people in the door and make yourself accommodating. If you're not willing to take funding or split pays, it shows how shit your fulfillment is, because you're looking for all the cash up front because you're scared of the back end. That's called having confidence in the business owner to let people obviously hop in. Okay, next piece is bad tracking to find the real bottleneck. What do I mean by that? If you run your webinar, right, and you are having, let's say good show rates, 20% or higher, okay? And your close rates are less than 5%. Your booking rates are less than 10. Then, okay, we got to look at pitch, story, infatuations. All these things are going to pop up. I want you to take the next 15 seconds and think about other bottlenecks in your business and if they're really your fault or the marketing's fault or your team's fault. Like, think about that real quick while I take a drink of water. Because we try to look at things as, oh, it's the ads, it's the ads, it's the ads. Okay, listen, you got $5 a lead. You had 40 people show up and no one bought. It's the wrong offer. Okay, there's not a lot of retention towards the end. People were hopping off too early. You took too long to get to the pitch. All these things that are real bottlenecks. When you start tracking real KPIs, you start to really dictate how to get more results out of what your current marketing efforts are. It's a lot easier across the board. Trust me. Okay. Last piece of this is vague results-driven promise. If I said to you, I'm going to help your car dealership sell more cars in the next 90 days. Too vague. I'm going to help you pull more equity out of your home. Too vague. I'm going to help you get a better interest rate on your refinance. Too vague. It's got to be specific. I help car dealerships sell an extra 15 cars per month without more salespeople, subprime rates and discounts. Okay. If I go to the refinance one, I help homeowners refinance their homes and drop their mortgages by upwards of 3 to 4%, even if the banks deny you. That's a crazy good offer, by the way. Another example that I gave. So like if I said, I'm going to help your coaching business get, an extra 30 sales calls per month. That's still too vague. It's like, what are those calls? Are they good quality? What are the show rates? But instead, if I said, I help high ticket coaches get an extra 15 new clients every 30 days. Specific. Now I know what I'm getting. Okay, so don't have a vague results-driven promise. Just some quick tips I want to go over real quick based off me, being in $1 million a month. First things first is energy sells. As corny as it sounds, energy sells. If I go to an event and we were all just sitting there, we're all going to be yawning and shit. No music playing, no networking, no high energy, no good speakers. I'm not getting anybody to buy because they're sitting there going, if this event is a reflection of the service, it's going to be shitty. Energy sells. Even if you think it's pixie dust or it's air, if there's more energy at an event, but the product and offer sucks, it will likely sell more. It just will. Okay. Second is price point does matter. A lot of you think that you're under this assumption that you can just raise prices because you're good and you're cool and you got followers and all this. Price point does matter because people have more options in the market more than ever. If someone has a program for $10K, they're going to go out looking to see if they can get it for $8, $7,500, $6K. Whatever it is, they know they have options. So you're at the mercy of price elasticity. When that rubber band snaps, you're talking to prospects who have options. Which means you're going to have more, 2 call closes, 3 call closes, and less 1 call closes. Next part is access, support, results. These are the 3 buckets that you want to drop your offers into. And if you're not doing so, you are at the mercy, okay? You're at the mercy of coming up with offers that you think are going to work. Make sure that your offer has a level of access to you in some capacity, group, whatever. Support. Do you have a team behind you? Results. What results are they going to get? Those 3 things are going to encompass a very good packaged offer. Okay. Fourth, timelines do matter. If results take too long, you have a lower conversion rate. If I said, hey, roofers, rank on the first page of Google in 6 months, too goddamn long. But if I said rank on the first page of Google in 90 days, I'm going to get a higher conversion rate with the 90 days versus 6 months, which means that I have to have better fulfillment to make that promise. So make sure that your offers do fit fulfillment because the promise needs to be fulfilled upon. Okay, next is on webinar testimonials boost conversions. If you have 1 client, I don't care who they are, your friend, I don't care. If you got 2 clients, it doesn't matter how many clients you got. If you're on a webinar and you simply text your friend and say, hey, I'm on a webinar right now, come on and say a couple words. Send them the Zoom link. Cool. They come on the Zoom. You're going to get a higher conversion rate if that person does an on live testimonial. You have literally doubled your conversion rate just from the testimonial alone. Okay. We did that during our webinars that convert challenge. Did very well. It crushed. Okay. We oversold actually because we had so many testimonials. Okay. Product name should match the results they get. Okay. So our offer is done for you profitable webinar funnel in 14 days. What do you think the name of our product is? Done for you webinar in 14 days. It's the freaking, the promise is the name of the product, right? If I said to you, take your med spa to, 7 figures a year, what do you think the name of the product should be? 7-figure med spa owner. That's literally what it should be. You don't want to be like med spa accelerator, or you put med spa 7-figure accelerator. You have to put the result in the name of the product. It's going to sell better. So now that you understand how to raise conversion rates and how webinars should actually run, what are some sweet spot pricing tips to make sure that you're pricing your offers correctly? I've launched so many webinar offers, so this will be very insightful for you. So if you're running like a group coaching, right? Group coaching, You get maybe 8 weeks of calls. That's going to be $497 to $1997. That's like the sweet spot, right? If you're doing one-on-one, $2K to $6K on a webinar, you could sell that for because it's intimate to you, the speaker. If you're doing like school groups, Facebook groups, right? Like things that are smaller MRR, $47 a month to $197 a month has been a good sweet spot for them. Now, let's say you're running a webinar to sell challenge tickets, or you're running a webinar to sell in-person events. That's where I've seen $47 to $397 work. If your prices are above these, okay, you're going to go to book call, okay? You're going to go to a book a call. It's hard to sell a $3,000 group coaching without a book call. $3K group coaching, kind of overpriced, to be honest. $6K, if you're selling a $7,500, $10K one-on-one, that's going to be a book call. If you're selling like $300, $400 a month MRR groups, it's going to be a harder sale unless you add like a free trial to it or something, or like $1 for X or whatever for 7 days. But that's like, you shouldn't even have the need to sell it on the lumber. You sell it on the landing page. Challenge tickets, once you go past like $397, that's going to be harder to sell that for a challenge ticket. Okay, this is just things that I've seen, so take this into account. I have a lot of data to back this. Okay, so what should the run of show be? If you want to be like, India Prather, who had a 36% conversion rate, what was her run of show? How did she crush on her webinar? Well, first off, you start with the intro to what the webinar is about. And, I'm going to show you on my iPad here. This is what her webinar is about, okay? Discover the 8-week system that helped families win over $13.5 million in real scholarships. Okay, free masterclass, how to win thousands of scholarships, even if your kid doesn't have a 4.0, which obviously I know is GPA. Inside the free masterclass, you'll learn how to, and keep this in mind. We did a split test on her landing page. This is what our team can support you with. You can click the link in the description, our Calendly link to book a call with us to have your own webinar installed for you. But we tested no VSL versus a VSL, and no VSL on her page got better cost per leads because the button was higher. So some pages, it does better with a video. Some it does worse. So you got to test that. Okay, inside the masterclass, you'll learn how to do X, Y. Listen to me. Good profile picture, like great profile picture, good bio. Okay, you might be thinking, who's this webinar for? FAQs, right? Now we get into the actual offer, which is her boot camp, which is basically a challenge ticket, like I showed you before. That $97 to $397, she's right smack in the middle. And we, help our clients with these offers. We build your order forms just like you're seeing right here. Now, this is a very simple order form, I know, but like we just put all these things in the business so that you don't have to worry about it. We do all the infatuations and the bullet points like this, okay? So this is what they sell in the webinar. She does very well. She got a 21x return on her last webinar. So I just want to give you some clarity real quick on like how that works. Okay, so we intro to what the webinar is about. Okay, we're like, hey, welcome. We're going to talk today about how your kid, regardless of having a 4.0 GPA or lower, even people at a 3.2 I've helped, how are they tapping into this $13.5 million market of scholarships that don't require a lot of scholarship fees? They're not crazy expensive to apply, and there's not a lot of applications. So your kid's basically guaranteed to get the freaking scholarship, okay? Second is set expectations, okay? Let them know on this training, what I'm going to do is X, Y, and Z, and at the end, I'll have a really cool offer for you to bring your kiddo along so that I can literally sign up to these scholarships with them and start claiming the scholarship money. How does that sound, guys? Type a 1 in the chat if you're excited to have me bolt on to your efforts and start crushing your scholarship fund. Because parents, you guys don't want to pay for school. Let me pay for your college for you. Let me do it. That's a good angle, okay? Third is frame and place identity. This is where you need a frame, kind of like what I did before, but it'd be something along the lines of, hey, you're here because you know college is expensive. Who here wants to pay in full for college? Give me a 1 in the chat if you want to pay in full for college. No ones? Type a 2 if you'd rather have me pay for it. You want me to pay for it. And it's going to cost you less than a nice dinner out with the family. Give me a 2 in the chat. Give me a 2. So let's frame it this way. And this is how you place identity, okay? How I would frame it is there's 2 kind of kids you can raise. You can raise the kid who gets loans, who's in over his head in debt, and barely finds it even able to focus on schoolwork while trying to fight a career because he's over in his head on college debt. And if you look at how long it takes kids to pay their college debt, it takes X amount of years. You can raise that kid, or you can raise the kid that gets resourceful, right? That knows what it's like to invest in himself, that gets the money for you and starts building the generational wealth in your family by taking control of the situation, and doesn't pay anything in college, gets the scholarships to cover their money. They move out of your house sooner, and you now have a successful child. Which kid do you want to raise, A or B? Type in the chat. Like, you want to place identities. And when they start typing B, you're going to say, Gabe B, Marcella B, Sky B, Taylor B, Tim B. Like, you're placing identities on them. And that's how I do that in the beginning. Okay. Then we get into your story and discovery. The story has to be from the origin of pain. So what do I mean by the origin of pain? Well, the origin of pain comes from, hey, I was in the spot, I was going to college and I couldn't find money. And then I went to this conference and then I found this guy and he was my mentor and he taught me how to do this. And then I started doing it myself and I paid for college myself. And then I started teaching all those people how to do it. Okay. And that loops in story to discovery. Now you've discovered the mechanism that you're about to give them. Then from discovery, hey, I used it for myself, and then I gave it to a couple of my friends, and here were their results, okay? Now we have results, and then we get into objection handle. And you're probably thinking, like, my friends must have been Ivy League GPAs. They must have had a 4.0, 3.9. Nope. And guess what? All three of my friends played no sports, did no extracurricular activities, and they had 3.5s. So all your objections go out the window. Okay, and then we go from objection handle to refinement. This is where you sit there and go, but then I realized it could be a lot better, right? Because I did have a friend who, unfortunately, it was not working the best for. Had a 3.2, all this jazz, and I got access to this little-known directory of scholarships, and I actually used it for him, and this is what he got. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, and now we're able to refine it to make it better so that even you guys with 3.2s, I got your back. The refinement made the product better, and now that product that's better, they're getting. Okay, refinement gets into mastery, which is now, you show more results. Here's all the mastery behind it. Then you get into the key man risk part, which is now I'm a master at it. Here's the bonuses I'm going to give you that are key man risk. And what I mean by key man risk is the bonuses I'm going to give you, you can't get anywhere else. You have to buy from me to get them. And you can only get them on the call. That's key man risk bonuses. Then we go from bonuses to saying, awesome, now that I've shared with you all the bonuses I'm going to give you, do I have permission to share with you what the investment looks like? That less than nice dinner with the family looks like. Okay. Now you get the permission, and then you get permission, and then you pitch. And that's the run of show that we would use on any webinar. Okay. And now it leads me to the final remarks here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I spit a ton of game for you guys. You will run with this. Maybe have your own webinar. It could be a hell of a lot better. Use this advice, run with it, and start crushing it. So final remarks. Number one is always do 30 minutes of Q&A. On my last slide of my webinars, I always put up a timer. And I just let it run for 30 minutes and I'm answering questions. And that's also where I might bring on a second testimonial. Those on live testimonials, I'll bring those on during that time. Okay, second is don't end the Zoom once you pitch. Don't be that person that just pitches and you're like, okay, guys, click the link. All right, peace. No, do not give up on Q&A. I don't care if you're on for their half an hour. Put the time into the business, put the time into the people, and respect their time. If you leave early, you're going to look actually aggravated and people are going to be like, oh, he's insecure. He left too early. No one bought. Now they're not going to buy for you and they think that you're insecure about it. Help them. People to people, it's a connection on a webinar. Okay. Congratulate every buyer. I can't express to you how important it is to congratulate every single person who buys from you. I don't care if it's $97, $47, $200. I don't care. Freaking 10,000. Congratulate them. Unmute them. Okay. And they sell for you. Damien, congrats, man. I'm so excited to be inside the program. Tell everybody why you pulled the trigger tonight. What did how did this speak to you? And now Damien is just selling for you. He's selling for you. You don't have to do anything. And that timer is still running on the slide. They see all their deliverables. And now Damien is also selling for you and you're selling for yourself. You're building urgency in the room. Okay. You want to name people by their names. When you're alluding to people's questions in the chat, don't just say, yeah, we got a question. And it says, no, say, oh, Gabe asked, say their name. Thanks for the question, Gabe. Did I answer your question, Gabe? People like to be called by their name. Okay, don't just call them somebody or someone. Drop the question in the chat. It makes you look, not as personable. And then do not shy away from hate. Use it to sell more. I have ran hundreds of webinars myself, and I have a big name in the space, and people always like to hate. They're like, always pitching, always pitching, always pitching. I stay quiet. Okay, I say what they said, and then I let other people in the chat who are action takers, they will then fight them for me. So on the last challenge that we had, this guy came into the chat and he was like, oh, 400 plus people live to sell them. Like, what a scam. And I'm like, that guy, guys, don't be like him. Don't be like Jamil. Don't be like that guy. That's the negative energy that we don't need in our lives and don't want, because that person, because they're inactive ability to take action, they want to put you down. Give me a 1 in the chat if you're not going to be like Jamil. So I use it to sell the room. And then there's people who type one and they say a remark. They're like, yeah, Jamil's stupid, blah, 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 blah. You use the hate to fuel the sale. I know it's hard to sell one-to-many and really get this thing off the ground. We'd love to support you and help you. So click that link in the description, book a 45-minute call with myself or my senior advisors to go over your webinar plan, what it would look like, what's your price point offer, so that you have expected KPIs to make an investment with us. So click the link, book your call, and I'll see you guys in the next video.